Hi, everybody. Welcome to another week of Lunchtime with Anna. Today, I have a very, very, very special guest and someone who I highly respect. Highly respect. She's a beautiful soul, both inside and out. And for me to just meet somebody and just kind of feel like we're family, it's very rare. And this woman in particular has captured my heart in more ways than one. I want to make a few announcements. As many of you guys know, I am premiering in a few upcoming series, movies, and I just got called for a recurring role in a series that will be taking place. So I'm pretty excited about that. That's pretty huge. I wanted to announce that this book right here, The Anna Anointing, we are reading this every Tuesday from 7 to 8 a.m. p.m. I'm sorry, p.m. at night. And it's Bible study to empower women. So women of boldness, power, and strength. So it's how to become that. So ladies, if you're not doing anything on Tuesdays, contact myself or Christy Marshall, and we're both leading it, and we will gladly get you a copy because we felt it was very important because we want women to be involved to make the donation for your first book. Next is today there will be no lunch. I am running a little bit behind, so I'm sorry, but I will tell you guys this. Another thing I have implemented into my health diet is to start adding apple cider vinegar gummies to my diet, only because it cleanses you from the inside. If you're going to be clean from the outside, losing your weight, so forth, so on, and it does give you natural energy, and you won't have to have that extra cup of coffee or whatever it is that you drink. So, anyways, now to the lady of the hour. Hi, sweetheart.
Hello, hello.
McGruder, you guys. Stephanie McGruder. How are you doing?
I am well. I want to say I am so honored and so thankful for today. And you know what? You're doing an awesome work right now. I see you about to be a psychiatrist in a movie. So congratulations on everything, Anna. You are so deserving of where God is taking you right now. So
Thank you.
stay the course, stay your journey, and keep the faith.
Amen. Thank you. And well, yeah, she's bragging about me, but let's brag about her. Oh my God. And now Stephanie wears a lot of hats out there. And
Oh
one thing I
God.
like about Stephanie is like me, like she don't know how to hide a face, right? So I absolutely, I mean, when I tell you this is my sister, so and I'll tell you guys how we met, because I think it's very important. And
Yes,
Stephanie knows that this is one of my hugest fights, and I know she's there with me, in agreement, right? So
absolutely, absolutely.
for me, it's domestic violence. I met her for an event that we were doing some interviews and stuff,
Mm,
pre-domestic violence, to talk about domestic violence that I've been through
yeah.
in other women. And Stephanie just made me feel so good because it was
Yes,
an uncomfortable topic for me even last year. And this happened 20 plus years ago. So it's still
wow.
been a struggle. But
Yes.
I thank you because you helped me want to help more people out there. And you were part of the
Absolutely.
roadway. Cassandra, as you know, that's my sweetheart. Oh my gosh, she's the best. I love
She
you.
is.
She can call me at any time and be like, Anna, I need you. And I'm
She
there.
said that.
Oh, I think we're having technical difficulties. Can you hear yourself clear?
I I
You
believe so.
you might have to go in and go out and come back in. And then I'll just
Okay.
continue talking to them for a minute.
Okay.
So Stephanie is having technical difficulties. She's going to come out and come back in. But I really want you guys to and know about this lady and the incredible thing she's doing. She's also an author. Aside from the domestic violence and what she does with that and how she helps along with the community, she is also an author. And she's back.
Is this better?
No, it's still,
You
st-
hear that feedback?
yeah, it's robotic. Try to check your volume or your sound on your device. And sometimes if you turn it down, it tends to work better. Um, are you there? All right, she's still here, guys. We're just having, you can hear her perfect? Okay, thank you. Okay, so we'll just keep her and I'll just kind of disregard it and just go with it. Okay, thank you for letting me know, Christine, because we're just trying to correct it. And okay. Okay,
Okay,
so
is
I
this
got
better?
somebody else. Oh, perfect. Who says they
Okay.
can hear you? Perfect.
Okay.
But okay. So now Stephanie,
Yes.
do me a favor and tell the listening audience who is Stephanie McGruder? Who are you? What is your story?
Okay, well, first and foremost, I'm a mom. I have one child. I have an adult son, and he is my everything. I will admit that he is someone that he's autistic, and so he has a behavioral health diagnosis. And and that kind of afforded me into some of my career choices. I will. I've worked in state government for way over 20 years. I'm a certified peer specialist parent, and that's someone who is trained and certified through the Georgia Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Disabilities to interact with families to teach them how to navigate what we call the system of care. I am by divine calling. I am a minister. I am an ordained preacher. Let me say that, as well as I am a new author. I just wrote my first had my first children's book published. I've been writing now for many, many, almost 15, 20 years now. And I've been kind of holding on to those projects, just kind of looking for the right artist, the right illustrator. And I think I found that person. And so I have several more that I will probably be releasing, hopefully before the end of the year. One is going to be a really big major well, two of them are really good, what I call major projects. So I'm kind of taking my time with them to, properly tell the story the way I would like it told. Now, the book that I released was just something quick, short, sweet. I have this brand new baby, great niece in the house, and she was always making these little funny faces. And so one day, I love children, and I'm noisy and I'm loud. I'm animated. So I was singing this little chant to her, just, and I was making rhyming words along the way. And I thought to myself after I finished, wow, that could be a book. And sure enough, by the end of the night, it was on paper and I was ready to go with it. And the next thing was partnering with this illustrator, and we got it done.
Oh, wow. Um, I did forget there briefly, um, we did have that talk about both being special needs moms. So that
Yeah.
makes our connection even more special than people
Yes.
can understand.
Mm-hmm.
As you know my struggles, as I know your struggles.
Yes.
Um, and people are cruel. People
They
are
are.
cruel.
Mm.
And that's we do need to talk off air because there's a few things I want to talk to you. My son
Okay.
will be 17 this year, and it
Okay.
gets tougher. So it gets tougher as they age. So this book though, this book,
Yeah.
I could see you just out of the blue, just being like, okay, we're gonna do this, and it just happens, right?
Right.
You turn around and you're like, this is gonna be a book. And did you have any nayers? Because you know there's always nayers.
No, the family was they were, encouraging, extremely supportive. They liked the little chant that, you know, some of the lyrics in the book,
Hmm.
and they thought it was really cute, especially for children. I tried not to put too much thought in it. I will admit that after I finished the book and after I completed, I was like, well, am I a little bit too old to be writing like this? But, you know, um, God gives us many gifts,
Amen.
and it's okay to wear many hats. And because
Absolutely.
you wear many hats, it's okay to embrace other audiences. I know as a preacher, I'm good with young adults. I know in mental health, I'm good with adults. And so, when it comes to my personal love and joy of children, it's okay to love babies and toddlers and infants. And at one time, I used to teach a Bible study class to youth. And I enjoy coming in class being silly. I enjoy coming in, good morning. You know, that's me. And I'll do it to adults too. If you push me hard enough, I'll do my Jesus cheer. And
Amen.
so I think life becomes so stressful that you must find beauty in everything. You must find, and so that's my outlet, because things can get so stressful. And when you work, well, I will say this, for me, I spent 10 years working in the juvenile court system, so I saw a lot of sad things happen. Then I
Absolutely.
spent 6 years working for the Department of Behavioral Health. And so I heard from a lot of families who were experiencing challenges. I heard from a lot of clients who were having difficulties battling their either addictions or their illnesses. And now I work for the Superior Court system. So, you see a lot, you hear, and just everyday life just kind of grabs you and stresses you and creates a challenge. So whatever you can do to keep find the beauty, hold on to laughter and joy, that. And so embracing children, that's I love kids. I like to see them happy. I can't stand to see a child, young kids, you can catch them these days and they're rah rah, I'm like, whoa, what happened to youthful,
Yeah.
what happened to being playful? What happened to being energetic? What happened to, I know when we were kids, we'd be outside and jack stones and bolo bats and kick ball. And, there were some challenges, but there was some beauty also.
And you're right. And I always tell people, and I say this often on my show, people who love children, people who love elders, and
Hmm.
people who love animals
Hmm.
tells me a lot about who you are as a human being, period.
Hmm.
That's all I need to know. That's enough for me to know your character, the type of person you are. And I can totally see the way my one of my children, she's met only one of my children, took a gravitation to her, was like,
Okay.
wow, I feel a huge connection to Stephanie. I don't know what it is. And that child of mine is very reserved, very, very, very reserved with who she lets in her circle, who she even talks around. So it was just very relieving to hear someone be that loving towards you. To
Yeah.
me it means everything. Like if I respected you highly, like you got 200%, because to me, I'm the same as you. Children and their value, all children,
Yeah.
means everything to me. And I think you could probably agree with me on this. When you're a special needs mother, I think you understand not only cruelty, but love so much
Right.
more than the average soul.
Exactly. Exactly.
Because it's all we have is to give these children our love, all of
Mm.
them. And I don't only talk about the special needs, all of them.
Mhm.
It's just such a huge deal. And this is why I thought it was so important to bring in Stephanie, because I mean, look, just listen to her. It's almost like, how do you find the time? You know, how do
Mhm.
you find the time to do this, to do that, to do this? But I think it's our Father, right, will prepare
Yes.
us for all these journeys, right? Because I
Mhm.
feel like special needs parents are called to do a lot of things with children. Because I notice a lot of us are we're
Oh,
always
yes,
something with
exactly.
always. And I didn't understand this at one point, but when we actually think about it, right?
Right.
It's a blessing to have these special children because it took a special woman to be able to pull them forward and do what we do. Because I can tell you we're an excellent man. I can tell. I bet you were that mommy in the IP meeting saying,
Oh, girl, look, they would be here she comes. And every time I showed up, I was always reaching out to the superintendent's office first. And I will admit I was still struggling to understand what an IEP was.
yes,
I
yes.
was still trying to understand my child's diagnosis. And I was beyond frustrated, but I was frightened, more than anything. And I did not want to fail my child. And I made them I held them accountable. You're going to teach me. You're going to make sure you're just not passing him around because you're tired of him or he's in your way or he's in your space or you don't like him.
Absolutely.
And so, or you're frightened of his outburst, and so, but out of that, I learned that I had a lot of allies. I
Hmm.
learned that there were more allies, excuse me, than there were foes. And there were a lot of teachers who were compassionate, um, and who didn't mind, who liked my son, who saw that he was challenged, and they were willing to help. And it took all of us. It was definitely a team effort, but there were people that I kind of learned. I tell moms this: if you feel it in your gut and your child is saying that there's a problem with that particular teacher in that classroom setting, move your child. Don't
Absolutely.
second guess it. Just go ahead and make the call because it's only going to get worse. And I learned that my child, even though he had challenges, he was fully aware who was with him and who did not have his best interest when it came to his education. And and some of that was trial and error. Made a lot of mistakes, but
Me
I'm more
too.
knowledgeable now. I can take those mistakes and help other families in their journeys. And that's what I do now as a certified peer. I like to help other families in their journeys. I like to help families understand where to go for help. And me, I don't have a problem. I'd rather start at the top and work my way down.
Mhm.
And my only chain of command is me. What I decide is best for him.
And I think that's what a lot of parents do not understand with a special needs child. Let me not say that. No, 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 no. Because I went through the same thing as you. And today, I tell parents all the time, I don't charge to be an advocate and sit there in an IEP meeting and help you figure out, okay, what does my child need? Because a lot of things they just don't tell you. They wish you don't know. They don't want you to know,
Right.
So I try to help parents myself figure these things out. And please know that if you need anything or any parent needs me in any shape, form, or manner, you can always have them speak with me, especially if they're CCPS, because this school district are my children are homegrown. So they went from pre-K all the way on up. So I know it like the back of my hand.
Mhm, mhm,
You
mhm.
So, I think it's a matter, and it's gotten a lot better here.
Yeah, it has.
I don't know, were you also CCPS or were you different?
No, I was different. And I will admit, my and tell me again, Anna, what is you said CCPS?
Yeah,
Tell me
Clayton,
again.
Clayton County.
Oh, no, no, no. I was at the state level. So when you mean in terms of my work when I was working?
No, I was saying for the school district that your child
Oh,
attended.
no, 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 no. We were Fulton and DeKalb. No, I
Okay,
mean Fulton and Douglas. Excuse me, Douglas County and Fulton County.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but for if you ever get any parents on this, then I know it like the back of my hand, and I
Mm-hmm.
it always help. Um,
And I
with
will say this, and for me, because I was working state government at the time, when he was little, I always had access at the state level to be able to connect fast and to be
Mhm,
able to find the right person at the top quickly. And I kind of use that as my leverage in my understanding. And then, so during his primary years, I was working for the juvenile court system. There were always educational advocates in the courtrooms across the state for kids who had, maybe had unruly charges to kind of help
mhm,
them understand. To help them with their academics if they were falling behind. I
mhm,
think now the state identifies those kids as what they call CHINs, children in need of services.
mhm,
And so those are kids who, might have gotten in a little trouble,
mhm,
but they have a diagnosis somewhere. And so what can the courts do to provide supports to the families to not necessarily help them with their case, but to get them on the right track?
mhm. And see, that's what I mean. That's what I mean. That takes a special mommy because it's not easy to do that and then deal with a system that's really set up to not be here. And you're right too when you say you'll be surprised at the ones that are actually on your team
Yeah.
um, as a parent, because some of my son's past teachers are his biggest cheerleaders, and today we're Facebook friends. We might have bumped heads when when my baby was there, but it was only they understood at the end of the day.
Right.
I see your love. I see where
Mhm.
I know he's your passion, and I'm like I have to because I'm not going to be here forever. So it's really difficult. I had a person here who's asking, "Can you please move to Florida,
I
Stephanie?"
saw her. Yes. Hey, you know what? Maybe we can put our heads together. I can kind of try to find or ask around if somebody knows about somebody that's in Florida and what the services are like. But if I'm not mistaken, I believe Florida has peers. But let me ask around. Who knows? Maybe we can start a partnership or something. I mean, who really knows? But, children who need services are everywhere across this country. So, why not? Let's see. So much resources. Okay, okay, for parents reaching out. Okay, so let me do some investigating work on the back end. I will admit that my journey has opened many doors. And one of those doors, one day I got a phone call from a New York Times reporter, and I was afraid to. I shared my story with her on the back end, but I was frightened because at the same time, I'm still working, in state government. I'm still working for the juvenile courts. I didn't want to, even though I know I needed things for my child, I was just fearful. What would that do if my employer knew the court, So I didn't want to burn a lot of bridges. And so, in hindsight, I kind of look back on that and say that was a missed opportunity for me, but but there again, God's timing. Every now and then I'll kind of reach out to her and say, hey, what you're working on, because this person was definitely and is definitely a mental health advocate, and that's her passion. And
Uh,
I still kind of follow her and what she's working on. And I've sent her a few emails over the years to try to see where she is and what, just in case another opportunity comes. We hear about so many tragic things. The older our kids get, and the more they are out in the public and interacting with other people and deemed different, it's always a potential for harm these days. And right now we're in a space where people's hearts just not right for a number of reasons.
Absolutely.
And because the heart of people is, whether it's greed, whether it's envy, whether it's anger, whether it's bitterness or strife, or what have you. So, but these are the people that are pretty much out. You hear about all this road rage and things. So that tells you, within itself that people lack compassion. They lack compassion. They lack empathy,
Absolutely.
especially when they're interacting with people that are different from them. Whether it's a homeless person, whether it's a person that they recognize has an addiction, whether it's a person that they recognize has a developmental disability or
Absolutely.
is fighting a mental illness. Um, so, that's where we are right now in our society. And so we must stay vigilant in our fight, in our advocacy work to
Yes.
bring awareness, to make things a little bit more peaceful and comfortable, for our loved ones, and even you know, with people who are out in the street who are homeless and don't have anywhere to go. So just kind of,
Absolutely.
lunchtime with Anna is the place to start.
Thank you for that. But and Stephanie, I have to say it again. And I think the listening audience is starting to get a feel of why Anna is like, I love this lady. Like, I love a strong woman that has overcome, because again, and I'll repeat, people can be so cruel, especially when you have a special needs child. They don't understand what a meltdown is when your child has a meltdown
Yes,
behaving. Oh, maybe for whatever reason they feel you deserve that. For whatever reason they feel it's a punishment from God. No, none of the above. None of the above. You have no idea what the struggle is when we have to deal with that and calm them down, only because there was this
A-
minimal of a change.
Anna, I have a call that I've got to take. Is
Okay.
that okay? Can you give me just a moment?
Yes, of course. I'll talk to
Okay,
the audience for a few minutes.
okay, thank
So
you.
while she's doing that, if there's any questions that you guys have or anything that you guys would like to ask Stephanie, her book, and I'm looking for it now. Stephanie McGruder. The name of her book is "Baby Has a Frown on its Brow." And it is just the most beautiful, colorful book. I hate that I wasn't able to purchase a book before airing, but I told her, as I do with everybody who I interview, I make sure that if it's your music, I buy it. If it's a book, I buy it. Why? Because it's not, people work for a living. You have to pay for it. I'm a firm believer on paying for items. So anyways, the name of the book is "The Baby Has a Frown on its Brow." And if you look at this, how beautiful is the illustration. So when we speak with her, I'm going to go ahead and ask her, what was, how was she able to find the perfect person to, do the drawings? How was she able to just come up with this so naturally without having any issues, so forth, so on? Is she, my screen is frozen here. Christine, can you tell me if she's back on? Because I can't see her. My screen is frozen. She's not. Um, so anyhow, so while we're sitting here waiting, and it's kind of awkward, I never have had this happen. What we can do is, if you guys do have any questions, thank you, Christine. if you guys have any questions, Christine, if you have any questions, I can help you get some services up there because I'll get with her. And, because I'm between both states, I can see what we can do to help the youth, especially because there should be help, and there should be help if they're dealing with something mental, because a lot of times it's things like ADD undiagnosed, ADHD undiagnosed. Maybe there was some type of trauma that maybe we're not thinking about that they've experienced, and they're dealing with that, and now we're not understanding why our child is so angry. So Stephanie is really, really good at all this. And I had forgotten that we did have this conversation about how both of our children were disabled, and the help that we were able to get for them.
Mm-hmm.
There you go, you're
Yeah.
back.
Yes, thank you so much. I apologize. That was the boss calling.
It's okay. I have those busy days. But what I wanted to ask you, because I had to show this to them. Hang on.
Okay.
I had to show this, and it's so colorful.
Oh my God, look at
It's
that.
so beautiful.
Thank you.
This illustration, how did you, I mean, because it's perfect. How did you
Thank you.
come up with the perfect person? And if you could tell us a little bit about the book, because I have
Okay.
a few
Okay.
more questions to ask you.
Okay. Well, one of the hats that I wear, and a lot of people don't know this, is that I used to do graphics. And I was good enough to where I used to create logos and designs for people. Well, I kind of strayed away from that. And so when I finished the book, I thought, okay, maybe I can go back to my Corel Draw skills and create this character myself. I knew what she wanted to look. I knew what I wanted my little baby girl to look like, and so I started out trying to, I bought the programs, got everything I needed, and it was a fail. And I was but I kept looking, and I was able to find, and I got these cute little baby nieces in my family, and so I knew, they're adorable, and so I took a couple of their baby pictures, and I tried to mimic that and send it to an artist, and she came back, and I'm like, no, that's not it. So I searched and searched and searched, and I sketched and sketched and sketched. And finally, I was able to put together a template. And I showed, I said, this is what I visualize. So it was a clip art template that I found. And I kind of mimicked a couple of scenes that are in my book, and I sent them to her. I was like, this is what I want it to look like. And she just kind of took it and ran. And but I will admit, graphic art has changed. And because I didn't stay with it, a lot of my skills I no longer have. Because the programs are so advanced, because now you have digital art. You can make mechanicals, you can do scenes, whereas years ago when I was doing graphics, everything was just a still. It didn't move. So I wasn't able to create the book myself. I found it was a little depressing that I couldn't do it myself. And so, but so the art itself was just something I just knew what I wanted it to look like. And I was able to do a couple of sketches, send it to my artist, and she just ran with the rest of it. But
I can't wait to read the book. And like I told you, and as you know, Stephanie, our special needs babies are a little more behind in maturity. So I'm going to read it to my son, and it'll give me a reason to have him read anyways. So,
absolutely.
I can't wait, and I'm looking forward. And before, we get off air, after the interview, I'm going to have you tell the listening audience how they can contact that, or how they can
Okay.
contact you for the million hats. She wears a million hats. I keep telling you, she's amazing. She's amazing, as most beautiful women are out there. Now I have to ask you, what are you most passionate about?
Oh, it's going to be mental health. It's going to be services for our people. It's going to be services for families. It's services for our clients. And so that is what I'm most passionate about. That's where, there's still, until we have a system in place where if a family is in crisis or a loved one is in crisis, where you can pick up the phone and safely dial 911 or dial the GCAL, Georgia Crisis and Access Line, and you have a safe transport, a safe transition, safe housing, and no one is in harm's way, that will continue to be my fight. I am sick of hearing cases where, you know, our loved ones are in crisis and they're deemed a threat. Yeah, they're intimidating. Yeah, they're frightening. I'll admit it. But as family members, and you got a loved one at home
Mhm.
that can be frightening, can be threatening, can be intimidating, keep your weapons put away.
Absolutely.
Family. Let's hold family members accountable first, because I am tired of family members being, out of sight, out of mind. So my crazy loved one don't live with me no more. So I ain't got to be worried about what go on with them no more. Yes, you should be,
Those
especially
are the
if
ones.
the neighbors catch them outside in the community acting up because they're having a bad day. Then the police get called, and then something tragic happens, and you run. Oh, mm-mm, you know better. You need to be more accountable for your loved one. I don't care if that means you calling down to your local law enforcement in your community and say, well, look, my little loved one lived down the street at such and such address. Sometimes they have a bad day, but I want you to know that they have a diagnosis, and this is what it is. And if you get a call from 911, here's my number. Call me. Call the crisis team. Just don't be running off over there all armed and ready to do what you do best, which is protect and serve. And then I got to be falsely accusing you, and you got to be falsely accusing me. Let's everybody. So it's time for team effort. It's time for
Absolutely.
team efforts. And let me tell you something. And I know families abandon mentally ill loved ones as soon as they get a chance. You know how I know? Because Milledgeville was full. Milledgeville, the state hospital here in the state of Georgia, what is it, Central State Hospital, was full for years with hundreds of thousands of clients. That's why the federal government took over and closed it down, because they were tired of people just drive their loved ones down there and leave and never come back.
I couldn't even imagine dropping off my son and never returning. I just
Families
can't
do it.
imagine. And it happens because I'll tell you, I have other parents who I have had conversations with, and as their children are aging, they're like, Anna, I can't, I'm getting older. I can't
Right,
do this anymore. It took everything out of me, but I just could not imagine. I don't know what I would do without my son.
right,
Um, and I think people don't understand, most special needs parents, I'll say majority, do not even dare dial 911 or any type of crisis, anything, because they fear that their loved one's life
right.
is in danger
That's
because
right.
they don't know how to stop.
And it very well could be.
Stop.
Who knows? And and I also say that you know, um, there needs to be more education, with our law enforcement, to teach them how to safely understand how to de-escalate. Families certainly need to have what I call natural supports. That family members who don't mind supporting you, supporting your child, supporting your loved one, your family member, or your friend who has a diagnosis, and de-escalation during a time of crisis. Coming up with a safety plan is so important. And I know from day to day, some of us don't know what our days are going to be like. You never know when a crisis is going to start, but you can, even though you don't know when it's going to start, you can start having those discussions on deciding how it may safely end.
And I'll tell you, in a perfect world, it's wonderful to say we have family, right? So for me, in my case, I have no family in the state of Georgia, none. Um, and with that being said, it is probably, and it has been one of the most hardest things to go through, and this is me being transparent. As my
Mhm,
audience knows, I say it raw because if not, you're not getting it. You'll
mhm,
never understand. But
mhm.
for me, myself, there was no support.
Okay.
Sometimes you hear people say, call me, but they don't really mean that.
They don't
Because
mean
when
it.
that comes down to the nitty gritty, and I think you know what I'm saying, Stephanie,
Yeah.
there's no one there. You literally feel alone. Sometimes you just shut the doors. Just I'm not even dealing with people. I like being in my home. I like being in my space where we don't bother
Mhm.
anybody. So, and I understand that sense. That's why whenever I'm in Florida, it's like I'm just happy. Happy. I have friends,
Mhm.
many friends that I grew up with. Christine, the one that's been commenting, she's a childhood friend of mine as well.
Okay.
We're practically like sisters. I have many friends. I have my parents. I have family. I have my sister.
Mhm.
I have family on both sides for my son. So it's a little bit different because you know that maybe you can call them and be like one of them and be like, look, I need help. But
Right.
there was many times where I dealt with a crisis, and maybe that's where we can love you too, sweetheart. That's where we can probably you can help guide parents that you know are dealing with that and don't know where to turn to because maybe you don't want to call 911 because you watch the news and you're
Right.
traumatized from watching the news
Yes.
and you don't want your baby to be next. I've
No.
seen on I think it was on Facebook, autistic kid that got shot
Yeah.
because he was in the middle of a meltdown. I nearly died because I know that they don't mean any harm. They
No.
really don't. They really, and I'm
No.
not just saying that because it's my son. I'm saying that because I know I hear other parents. And what is your advice to those parents that have no one?
My advice, when you don't have anyone, I myself have learned to suffer in silence. It is important that when there is no one, to find out what's available in terms of state services, state supported services. Is there a provider who you can contact when you're in crisis that will provide either mobile crisis support or can send a team to support? There has to be some form of assistance, through a manner. And there are a lot of people that like to run around here and say, well, I'm a mental health provider, or I'm a counselor, or I'm a doctor, or well, I'm going to put you to the test.
Absolutely.
And I would start reaching out to those people and say, okay, I see your advertisement. I see you say you're a counselor. I see you say you're a doctor. How do you, even faith based organizations, it's all hands on deck right now. Start reaching out to them and ask them, what kind of services do you provide? What I did from myself is, because I knew what my needs were. One thing in particular was, when my son was little and I'm at work, he had gotten kicked out of the after school program at school. And so I was like, I know he can't go to the daycare because daycares aren't equipped to handle a child like him. What do I do? I got on the phone and I started calling, I called down to the state of Georgia to, at the time, it wasn't the Behavioral Health Agency, it was the Department of Human Services. And when
Mhm.
I called them and I told them what my needs were, I was like, listen, I have a little one. I'm working. He needs an after school program. He has a diagnosis. I don't know what to do with him. I don't have family who can keep him. What do I do? And she was like, you know what? Your county, the county that you live in, has an after school program for kids like him. They will pick him up from school and they close at, she either said 6 or 7, but it was enough time for me to get off work and to get over there. And I'm like, wow. And I'm like, well, how much is it? He's like, oh, he has Medicaid. His Medicaid will pay for it. Like, wow, who knew?
Yeah,
It wasn't like it was advertised somewhere, so you just don't know. But it's best to start being. So then I learned how to be, that was being proactive instead of just sitting around waiting till something happens, to start trying to put a plan in place for me and mine. And that started to work. I started asking around, and sometimes we just got to be our own support. What are your strengths? What are my strengths as mom? Um, how can I keep my child safe as well as keep me safe from my child when he's in crisis?
absolutely.
And I learned not to, when he was younger, like, oh, I'm gonna beat his butt because I'm mama and I don't play that. But that didn't work for him.
Mm-mm.
It just made him more mad.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, the more I beat his butt, the more I need to beat his butt. I'm gonna hurt him.
Mm-hmm.
you know. So you start having to think safety,
Yeah,
and that doesn't end. And so, but I learned to start putting plans. And I know this sounds cliche-ish, but I tell anyone, 911 should be your last resort,
I've
and
never had to call them. It's been pretty close. I don't
mhm,
deny it, because I could not. The situation got out of control too much.
right,
But I'm telling you, I picked up the phone, I looked at it, I thought of all those
that's
people that we
good.
have seen, and
And
I
that's a
just
real
rather
thought,
be
Anna.
alone. Huh?
That's a real thought.
It
It
is.
can be, it's somebody, it has been a lot of people's reality,
Yeah.
you
So
know.
I said to myself, no, no. And I have, and one thing I recommend, and I'm sure you can agree with me, is I actually reached out to CCPD, Clayton County Police Department here, and I messaged them and I said, look, I have a teenager now, because at the time he just went from that, it's almost like a preteen and then you get teenager and then, oof, so
Right.
how it goes, like, oh, the hormones, it's just like up and down.
Ooh.
But so I said, I have a question. What is your protocol if my son has a meltdown? Or if you see my son walking down the street and he's just doing weird stuff to you or to anybody in your department, what is your protocol? So they explained to me how they have special training in this county in particular, and they are more trained to be aware of things like this.
Mhm.
But that still doesn't take away from the fact that it might not be, it might just be the wrong officer one day, and I never
It
know that. you know.
right.
So
I
I would
will
never, huh?
I will admit that, where I live, I'm between Fulton and Clayton counties,
Hmm.
and there was an incident this year actually where they stopped mine in his car, and he panicked, and he was not a happy camper.
That's
And
okay.
but they discerned that there was something else going on with him.
Awesome.
And my phone rang, and it was his phone, so it was him calling. So I answer, and I hear Clayton County Sheriff's Department, and I'm like, "Excuse me, say that again."
Yeah.
They're like, "Nothing's wrong, ma'am. Nothing's wrong." I'm like, "Okay." I was like, "We stopped him. He's a little upset. Well, they didn't say a little, so they was like, he's really upset." And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, he's autistic." And they're like, "Oh, we knew something was going on. Well, hey, he's fine. We're gonna send him on his way. Y'all have a good day." And I was like, "And you all too." It's like, wow, my heart sank
Yeah.
fast,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Then I called him back. He was like, "Hey, oh, I'm good. I'm on my way home." I'm like, okay,
That's how they are. They forgot it already.
right,
They
but
forgot it already. Doesn't he have gear?
how?
Doesn't he have gear? He's got gear, doesn't he?
No, what do you mean?
Like clothes. Didn't I see that he was doing clothes
Oh,
or something?
yes,
He is, right?
he is. Yeah. He,
I'm gonna get my son something of his too.
okay.
Send me a link to that website because especially if he's
Okay.
autistic, us you know how us
Well,
special needs
he
families
just
are. We support
he
each
just
other.
released his first children's book also. So he's doing clothing, jewelry, and he just released his
Oh
first book.
man, I need to bring him in for an interview too,
Oh, he loves it.
Stephanie. Oh
He
my
would love it.
goodness. I'm gonna bring him in. I'm gonna bring him in. Tell him, and I'll get with you with that. Now,
Okay.
I have to ask, what is your greatest accomplishment?
I've got to say, even though some days it doesn't feel like it, I would say being a mom, being his mom in particularly, and along with that, the many doors it's opened, um, causing me to fight more in my advocacy work, causing me to want better as a woman, as a mom, and accepting my calling to be a preacher. And so all of those things, I believe, some way, somehow included my son and just part of God's strategic plan for my life.
Absolutely. And I have to ask, because well, I am a co-pastor as well.
Yes.
Actually, my duties will end in that church in particular this
Okay.
coming Sunday. The church is closing its doors. Yeah,
Oh,
there's you know, it's been crazy year. So, and I'm very saddened about it because we worked very close. I did my youth there. I
yeah.
actually got the experience of working side by side with him and seeing what it took. Um, my question to you is, do you feel? And I know it's going to sound weird, but do you feel that in a crazy way, what you went through with your son prepared you for that step?
Yes. Honestly, it did, absolutely. I will admit, I've been afforded a lot of opportunities, and but had it not been for what we endured, for what I've witnessed and the knowledge I've gained, I would not be able to be successful in my own career right now. And that's, even with my state job. Um, when I go out and, meet with people and meet with my bosses and the agency that I work with, I'm able to share things that I know our families like ours, yours and mine, Anna. I'm able to share with judges, hey, listen, this is what we're experiencing as families. And they listen.
I love it.
They don't, they listen. And, one of my bosses was like, I'll put you on my mental health committee, and, and it works. And so, yes, and had it not been for the things I have personally endured with my child and other families that I'm have shared with me, I couldn't
Mhm.
relay that information on to them as they still fight to make sure that our families are supported and treated fair through the judicial system.
And I think that's what it's about. I think
Yeah.
people miss that somewhere along the line, but you
Right.
got it. You got it. And I think that's why our Father continues to elevate you,
Yes.
Stephanie.
Oh,
I think, and we had talked about your son's gear. We had talked about all, and I totally
yes.
forgot. I told you I'm all over the place. Like during the school year, it was different. We were virtual, and I needed to make sure that my son learned what he needed to learn. He doesn't
Hmm.
have a paraprofessional sitting at home, so
Right.
mom became paraprofessional. So a lot of things were put on the back burner that normally I would think, oh, okay, let me do this. but I didn't. So
Okay.
now it's like more relaxing for me. Like I'm like, ah, you got straight A's and I got straight A's with you because I helped you get there. And that's all
Right.
I care.
So what did that look like, through your school setting? And what happened to the parapros?
So this is crazy. Hmm, they tried. I will say this: it was new for everybody, for everyone. A lot of things, they didn't even know how they were going to do. So the
Okay.
paraprofessionals would a lot of times go into a breakout room, right? This
Okay.
breakout room had, certain kids who might have needed say the test read to them along with, them looking at the test, things like that. That's placed on their IP, so you have to do this. Sometimes they didn't do it, depending on your classroom.
Yeah.
So what I did was, whether they read it or not, I sat there with my son every single day in class, every single day. Like the teachers knew to say, "Is Miss Quinones there?" And I'd peep over, "I'm right here." And they'd ask me whatever question they needed to ask because they knew I was sitting by him.
Mm.
So I would read the test to him, and I would tell him, because my son's very smart. He's got a memory, like he looks at it, he's got it. And I would tell him, look at it, read all the answers. Which one have you seen before? And
Mm-hmm.
he did great. But, I heard other parents
Wow.
say, homeschool doesn't work for my child. For in the case
Yeah.
of Nathaniel, he actually needs more of that one-on-one.
Okay.
And it does get frustrating because I'll tell you,
Yes.
Stephanie, sometimes I just wanted to run and just needed 2 seconds to myself and couldn't,
Yes.
but you have COVID, you have virtual, but I realized one thing. My son, first of all, was not speaking up in class to tell the teacher, I need help. And they would
Mm-hmm.
just move on. So now, if I saw he needed help, I could tell because he was getting, you know what I mean, like edgy, like agitated,
Mm-hmm.
or I don't want to do it. I would tell him, no, you tell your teacher again, I need help, please. And if she ignores you, type it again. I need help, please. And until they got the point, and sometimes some of them would yell because they're human beings. They're not always patient.
No.
Until I would call the school and tell them, mom was sitting right beside her when I heard my son ask for help, and they declined help per his IEP. This is what it says. So there's parents that just need to
Yeah.
know this stuff.
There
Um,
are.
I think that there should be more help, more support, but like I said, I don't necessarily blame anyone. No one knew how we were going to do this. You just have teachers that are more caring. He had an algebra teacher who he would type to her at least 4 times a week. Thank you for helping me. She touched him that much just because if he told her, I still don't understand it, she would show it a whole different way. And he learned his algebra.
Okay.
You see? So that's
Mm.
what it takes. Those teachers are the ones that, man, to me, are unforgettable, as I know to
Yes.
him. As I know to him, because there he had another one that if he asked a question, she would yell at the whole class. And we're like, what is she so upset about? We're virtual.
Right.
Be mad.
Mm, mm, mm.
So, but that's just part of it. Stephanie, I, tell us a little bit more about the book because I know it's 1 o'clock. Oh my gosh, I could talk to you for hours. Tell us a little bit more about the book, how we can reach you, so forth, so on. And if
Okay.
you don't mind closing with a prayer, if you're okay with
Okay. Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Okay, so the book, the baby has a frown on its
it.
brow,
There you go.
and it is, you can find it on Amazon, and I'll send you the link to post.
Okay.
But it's on Amazon. It's available on Amazon. It's The Baby Has a Frown on Its Brow. It's a fun, interactive book. It has catchy sayings, lots of rhyming words. It's interactive. So I encourage you, make all the sounds, make, you either making noise or animal sound. And it's a child friendly book, lots of sight words. words, that your child can use to help them in their developmental reading abilities. So it's full of sight words, it's fun, colorful, full of array of pictures and colors, and
Push it up
and
there. There you
my
go.
favorite
Oh, I
page
love it.
there.
Oh, I can't wait to read
Oh,
it.
can you see it? you
Yes,
know so lots of sight words. It's easy to read. It's a great beginning reader book for youth. And like I said, it's silly because I'm silly, can't help it. It's child friendly, and and it's just engages them. What am I? It incorporates new words, words they may not particularly use every day.
I love
So,
it.
but it's a easy read. Let me say that I've been told it's an easy read and full of bright, vibrant colors.
And I think that's what gets the children, and that's what gets the children, the parents as well.
Yes,
There
yes.
was a book, something about painting. I used to read to the kids. It didn't have
Oh,
many words, but it was so colorful. And I made the book, the whole entire book, and I'm going to look for that book. It's got to be somewhere put away
okay,
here. And I'm going to share it with you. And it was
okay,
just paint and colors, and I would sing the whole entire book to them. They knew the whole book back and forth. Every night I had to read both, they're 13 months apart. I had to read them both the book like three times before they go to bed.
okay.
As maybe so and I still like to read to Nathaniel just because, like I said, he's still very juvenile in many senses. Might be a big 16-year-old kid, but he's juvenile in a lot of more senses. You know what I mean?
Still have that
So
innocence.
yes, a lot of it. So yes, but yes, I'm excited about getting it. So you only have it on Amazon, is that correct?
Yes, I had it on Facebook Marketplace and it wasn't doing well. It was just sitting out there. So I actually took it down yesterday.
Oh,
So I don't know why it wasn't doing anything on there, but right now it's you can either get it directly from me, so a person can, private message me and I can send it to them. We can work out, how the payment, and then like I said, it's also on Amazon. I may put it back up on Facebook Market and send a link to that too.
I want to get mine from you.
Okay, so all right then, beautiful. So because we're close together. We don't
We're
live that
very
far
close
apart.
together.
Oh, okay. Maybe we
We're
get
very
together
close.
and do dinner or something.
Yes, Mama,
Have a
I would
night out.
love that. I would love that. I love, especially a strong, beautiful woman such as yourself, who understands a lot of my struggles that I had to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
Those moms are my favorite moms because
Yeah,
they get it.
absolutely.
They get it,
Yes,
because when
ma'am.
I hear moms say, "Oh, my teenager is so wild," I'm like, yeah, you wish.
I
I
was that wild teenager. Okay.
what are you doing till you see? But it's okay. It's okay. Um,
Mhm.
Now I wanted to ask you if it's possible. Oh, look at Christine. And
Oh,
we
yes,
will
ma'am.
gladly have
Oh,
dinner
we'll
with
love it.
you.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I'll let you ladies choose because I've been on a diet. I'm getting there. I'm trying at least. I'm
I
trying.
tried. I quit. I'm gonna regroup and get it back together. I was walking 5, 6 miles a day,
Oh,
and
wonderful.
I treated myself to this stationary bike and a treadmill, but I stopped using them. But I'll get back focused.
I'm trying to. I'm trying to. I'm getting there.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to ask you before getting off air, okay, if you can give all platforms that we're able to reach you at, and please, if you can do a quick prayer.
Okay. So again, all platforms that you're able to reach me. I'm on Instagram. I am Miss Big G on Instagram, and I'm on Facebook, Stephanie McGruder. And so my book, again, you can find it on Amazon. And so, in closing with a word of prayer, Father God, we just thank you, oh God, for your graciousness, God. We thank you for your holiness. We thank you for your power and your might, oh God. Lord, we just pray right now, God, for everyone that's listening today, oh God, that you would just strengthen them even the more, oh God. Give them wisdom. Your word says that if a man asks for wisdom, that you won't hold it back from them, God. Give us wisdom in every aspect and in every area of our lives, oh God, and especially for those families who are raising loved ones who have diagnoses, oh God. Continue to give us wisdom and strength even the more, oh God, to know who to call and where to go during times of trouble, oh God, during times of need. God. And we pray right now, God, that you would just give those families a special blessing so that they can be mindful of their own self care so that they can stay equipped and empowered to endure the battle, God. We also ask that you would bless those who are in need in their finances, oh God, even the more, God. And we will be so ever careful to give you the honor, the glory, and the praise in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Stephanie, I could never thank you enough for your wisdom, educating others. But most importantly, you guys get the book. Um,
Thank
you
you.
know, you're showing her support and as a mother who has pretty much done it all. And remember, again, to each and every one of you guys, mental health to me is so important.
Yes.
As you guys know right now, my default is PTSD awareness. This is PTSD and CPTSD awareness, mental health awareness month. Please check up on a person. You just never know. You
You never
never know.
know.
It might be me, it might be Stephanie, it might be others
Mhm.
watching. Just pick up the phone, send a text. Hey, how are you? I was thinking about you. You don't know what that would mean to somebody. With
That's
that being
right.
said, I will see you guys next week talking about mental health. It will be a show again on mental health for Mental Health Awareness Month. So I am looking forward to it. And the lunchtime with Anna is booked for the next 2 months. So I will give you guys a lineup. I'll do a live sometime soon to let you guys know what shows are coming up. Stephanie, I love you so much,
Love
sweetheart.
you
And
too.
make sure your baby, well, I'm going to get in contact with him, with
Okay.
you to get him an interview because
Okay.
I really want to hear from him. God bless you. And I love you,
Bless you.
sweetheart.
I love you too, darling. Thank
Ciao.
you.
Bye bye.
Bye.